So I think it's safe to say at this point that the NFT space is kind of distilled back down to its true believers. That hype that really followed it for a good year or two has pretty much disappeared from the space. But I got news for you, that is all about to change. The new explosion for NFTs is coming, and it's coming on the back of a new NFT technology, xNFTs. xNFTs are going to be huge for this market, and they're going to lead to higher adoption rates and more people using them for more and different things, and higher profitability for you, the early adopter. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what they are, how they compare to dapps, some advantages and disadvantages of xNFTs, and finally, some ways that they've been used up to now just to kind of get you down the right path. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a Web3 marketing strategist. This is the best place for you to learn about NFTs, Web3, AI, and how to market it all. So that sounds good to you and you're excited. Make sure that you like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're into it. Comment to let me know what you think about this new change to NFTs or any cool xNFTs that you've seen. I would love to see some new examples, and let's get started. Okay, so what is an xNFT? An xNFT is short for executable NFT. It's a type of NFT that allows for execution of code inside the NFT itself. So you can actually embed code in the NFT. What that means is that the NFT goes way beyond a simple static truth, right? Up to now, no matter what you use NFTs for, and it's been established that there are thousands of different use cases, it still is a pretty binary experience. You either are the owner or you aren't. You either have an NFT that gets you into the Bored Ape Yacht Club or you don't. You can either get into the Fly Fish Club with your NFT or you can't. And as important as utilities with NFTs have been, don't get me wrong, check out this video to learn more about it. They've really pushed the space forward quite a bit, but if you look at it from the perspective of whether there is executable code behind it or not, you can kind of see that it's a pretty limited thing. It's still very binary. But xNFTs came along and they kind of leveled it up because now your NFT can have app-like abilities. You can build programs with an xNFT as a baseline, which makes ownership clearer and lets you do whatever you want with that NFT beyond providing ownership. But that might have you wondering, isn't this just a dapp? I mean, after all, we're talking about blockchain-based programs, right? And I can definitely see why you think that. They're very close, but they're not the same thing. So let's go through a few points of comparison. And the most important distinction is that a dapp is not cross-chain operable, while an xNFT can work across many different blockchains. So a dapp is stuck to the blockchain that it's created on. And whether you realize it or not, that's true for all dapps. OpenSea's Polygon instance is a totally separate instance from its Ethereum counterpart. They do not talk or interact in any way. An xNFT, on the other hand, is specifically designed to be transferable between networks. So a Polygon xNFT could be transferred to Arbitrum or Ethereum or whatever. It's the same NFT, it's just on a different blockchain now. And I want to be very clear, we are not talking about some NFT that transcends blockchains and exists on each one simultaneously. It is not the God NFT, okay? We're talking about an NFT that can move between blockchains much more easily, which provides a lot more flexibility than a single blockchain dapp implementation could possibly provide. Now, keep in mind that there are still development costs that go into this. You cannot expect to just slap up an xNFT that's going to work on every chain automatically. The smart contract that you write has to be modified to the needs of every single specific blockchain that you want to use it on. And as you know by now, anytime that you publish or modify a smart contract to a blockchain, you have to pay something in gas. So if you make a mistake or you need to upgrade something, that's a few bucks out of your pocket every single time, which could sound trivial at first, but it really does add up, especially when you're doing this across multiple networks. It is very easy to nickel and dime yourself to death. So aside from transferability, what are some other advantages of xNFTs? So a huge one is interoperability between blockchains. So what this means is that because an NFT has cross-chain transferability, it can move between blockchains. It can also be used alongside other applications on each of these blockchains. So just kind of think of it like this. If xNFTs are building a bridge between two countries that speak different languages, then the people or blockchain native applications in those two countries can interact with the xNFT. It's like the polyglot NFT or something like that, okay? The ability of the xNFT to interact natively with those applications on multiple platforms provides a lot of use cases for further fleshing out a blockchain without having to go to one specific blockchain all the time. A great example of this use case is Chain Guardians, which is using xNFTs in its game. So the idea is that people with Chain Guardians can battle across different blockchains. They've made that interoperability very smooth because they had to if you want to make a game work across multiple blockchains. Another huge advantage is flexibility. So no longer are people constrained to a single blockchain network with their NFT. If you want your NFT to interact with something on a different blockchain, all you have to do is transfer it and you are good to go. You're golden. And then finally, this hugely increases liquidity. So what we're talking about is a basic finance concept here. There's higher liquidity because it's easier to move the product, supply and demand, right? It makes it a lot more valuable because it isn't constrained by conventional issues like being forced to pick a specific blockchain. So just think of this like PlayStation versus Xbox, right? If you have a PlayStation, you can't play Xbox games. What if suddenly you could? That's what we're talking about here. That liquidity makes it a lot more valuable to be able to get whatever coins or buy the xNFT and use it the way that you want it to. But of course, there are disadvantages to xNFTs as well, and it really comes down to two specific problems. The first one is complexity. By adding functionality across blockchains, you also add more code, you add more smart contracts, and you add more blockchain-specific adaptations that you wouldn't need for a single chain solution. And with complexity comes bugs, comes updates, comes errors, constantly needing fixing. So you constantly need to pay more and more attention, which leads to the other disadvantage, security risks. All of those different protocols mean different security measures as well. So if you just kind of imagine what can happen if you're not paying attention to this all the time and you don't have a clear idea of what's happening on every single chain, you can see that security is a pretty big risk when it comes to xNFTs. You've got to be very, very diligent. So now that you've got a feel for this more generally, let's talk about some properties that have been used in xNFTs just so you can kind of get a feel for this. And the first one is randomization. So if you look at profile picture NFTs like Bored Apes or CryptoPunks right now, you might see a series of traits like we talk about in this video. And those traits are more or less rare and contribute to the value of the NFT because of the rarity of those traits, right? But if you can randomize those traits programmatically at the time of mint, you can allow for a different experience, because what this can do is it can kind of drive a feeling of a customizable card game, right? So it could drive excitement and encourage more purchases because people are kind of looking for that rare shiny Charizard, right? Another property that's been added is interactiveness. So we talk a bit about this when we mentioned Chain Guardians earlier. Effectively, you can add code to the xNFT that allows you to interact with smart contracts, dApps, etc. So maybe you have a character with certain properties while on Ethereum and entirely different characteristics while changing to Polygon. It adds a lot of flexibility and engagement to your NFT way beyond simply owning the object, right? That binary, yes, I have it, no, I don't, that NFTs have been up to now. Next, upgrades. So I'm going to kind of use an example that seems simplistic, but you can go way beyond it. So in gaming, there are certain types of games where you can, have a character that you buy different gear for, and you can upgrade the gear and give them better abilities, etc. So if you think of Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, those sorts of games, well, you can take that exact same idea and apply it to your xNFT. Just imagine taking the same concept behind those games and adding it to your NFT. Yeah, maybe you bought the cheapest Suzuki on the market. No worries, buy a more rare trait and upgrade it, okay? You could upgrade your PFPs or really anything that you can think of, like the characters on your NFT games or memberships or so many other things. And then finally, dynamic pricing. So right now, when you sell your NFT, you probably look at the floor price, the pricing trends, and you make a selling decision. You set a price and hope it sells at that price. And if you're in a collection that suddenly picks up and starts selling like crazy, you have to manually adjust the price to adapt to that new reality. But if your NFT is an xNFT with dynamic pricing code, then the devs who have created it will have added code that increases or decreases the price based on selling trends, which takes the stress out of the situation and allows you to make better decisions more quickly without manual action. So there you go. There's a rundown of xNFTs for you. I think that this is a really, really important development in NFTs more generally, and the new functionality is going to help this area absolutely explode. So let me know what you think about xNFTs, or if you have any examples of them that you love. I would love to learn about them. Otherwise, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.